You're watching the CG Live podcast. Now, the content for these podcasts are a little bit different than our normal pods as we bring on members and do long-form interviews. These were actually recorded live at our events with members that were going on stage to present. So the content is killer. Enjoy the show. Welcome into the live Collective Genius podcast. We're here at day 2 of our Collective Genius CEO and premier event, Oceanside, California. And anytime we are in Southern California, San Diego, La Jolla, Oceanside is some of the event spaces that we've been over the 11 years I've been associated with CG. One of our favorite trips every year. And one of the reasons is because we get to sit down with the goodness gracious, how many different team names do you guys have now? All the different
quite a few.
businesses.
The GG.
Let me just say this. This is Mr. Eric Gydesen. Please welcome him to the podcast. Eric, based here in San Diego. You guys have always had great operations, but you got GG Homes, you got new construction, you've got Airbnbs. Now, marketing, like really high level marketing, direct mail, PPC, and now even TV. So yesterday, Eric got up on stage, and I know a lot of you that are listening to this. And by the way, if you can hear the hallway right now, you should be here. And here's why. There's a ton of networking going on right outside of this door. It's really loud. If you can hear it, I promise you, those are the type of conversations you want to be having if you're having issues with sales, marketing, what have you. But you're going to get a lot of knowledge here today from Eric. Walk the people through the presentation yesterday from the main stage on marketing that you presented. Yeah,
Brian come up to me and said, hey, look, we're building out day 1. We're looking for a series of rolling marketing, then into sales. Kendall partners with Jeff, going to come and rock the house on sales. What do you guys think about running marketing? I said, I'd love to, right? That would be a great topic for us. And he said, if you can sprinkle in a little AI and how that's changing some things in marketing as well, that would be wonderful. And I said, you got it. And that's where it stemmed from, right? And what we went through yesterday is really a comprehensive view of what scaling a marketing engine looks like in 2025, moving into 2026 with all the standard channels, plus how AI is starting to play into those different channels. And so we went through all the different channels, starting with direct mail, moving into then television, pay-per-click marketing, and we went into all what we consider like ancillary channels, which for some operators are the prime channels. Could be things like radio, billboards, Meta, YouTube, etc. So we went through a full gamut of these different channels and how real estate investors are adapting, what's working, what's not working, and then also how AI is starting to play into these channels.
So what is working? That's the magic question.
Yeah.
That's the answer that everyone wants to know. What's working right now?
You know what? The general theme that we're seeing right now is that sales cycles are elongating, which is a little bit different. Like if you looked at direct mail or television or PPC, your speed of contract on average for most of these channels in most markets is like sub 10 days. For the majority, right? It's you have a bunch of your revenue that comes in your first 10 days, and you have maybe 25, 30% that'll come later after the fact via follow-up. And what's happening is that sales cycle is elongating, especially with things like direct mail. And so the theme through a lot of these was consistency is paying big dividends right now. We're seeing a lot of other operators get into a marketing channel, trying it for 1 month, sporadic, spray and pray, and they're saying it's not working. And normally we love saying, no, you can get deals in the first month, and you probably should, right? On a new channel if it's done well. However, that sales cycle is elongating. So we're seeing that. So consistency was a little bit of the theme throughout. And then if you break into each of the different channels, there's different things that are working. A lot of the same stuff that has been working that's just simply been refined. And there's some new stuff that's coming around as well. So I can dive into any of the channels you want at some point.
I love that. I mean, let's talk about the main 3. When we talk about direct to seller, for this level, by this point, most real estate investors have a team. If they're at 2 million plus and they're in this room, the premier room, they generally have that 3-legged stool that we generally talk about. They have the direct mail, they have PPC, and usually television or some other piece, right? But it's usually those 3 in this room.
Yep.
So if we're talking about, let's go tried and true. Let's go direct mail.
Yeah.
What's working right now?
Yeah. The direct mail space, number one, I think most important thing that most operators are getting wrong is their data, right? What's incredible about direct mail is you get to select exactly who you're going to send to, right? That's where you're playing a game of elimination in a way, right? You have a constraint, which is your budget. I wish I had 20 million to send every single month in one market, right? but we have budgets, right? That's our constraint. And so you have to play this game of elimination of who do I not want to send to versus then also who do I want to send to. I think where a lot of operators go wrong is on targeting. And so what we're seeing, which has historically been the case, is you want to find your mix of oftentimes your single family properties, maybe some condos and townhomes, maybe your small multifamily. Get your product type in there. Okay. Look at your areas. What areas, like where's the market actually moving? Where are areas a lot more stagnant? Looking at velocity of market, stacking that on top of your product type. Then add in your distress points, all the different things that you believe will make for a higher turnover rate within those markets. And then you start to add in some ancillary things like, are there a lot of flip activity, right? Are there a lot of investors that are speculating or investing heavily into this specific pocket? And so you make these overlays onto your data. And the better you're getting at data refinement, the higher return is going to be. And if you get good return, what happens? You can spend more money. So it starts there. Creatives, we ran a lot of different A/B tests. I mentioned this in the presentation. One of the biggest challenges that a lot of operators have at really any size, but especially like coming up in the game, most operators are sub 100 deals, even sub 200 deals, right? There's a handful that are above that in the space, which by the way is still incredible volume. But the challenge is their marketing budgets aren't very big. So running A/B tests consistently is very cumbersome.
Sure.
And so we talked about a lot of the A/B tests that we had gone through, what those results were. And the takeaway really is get into rooms like these because you get access to those findings of the A/B tests. Other things you can do, you can get involved with vendors that are actually running these A/B tests to then bring it back to your business so you can get a competitive advantage. So those are some of the things on direct mail.
What you just said right there is so crucial. A lot of people that are listening to this are running direct mail, and maybe they're doing the spray and pray. I love that, by the way. I'm stealing that. It's, spray and pray. So there's a different level, as you can hear from Eric, that this is actually they're at a chess level. This is not checkers anymore. It's not just spraying and praying. You're actually looking at data that works, and you're actually listening to others in the room talk about what is working in their particular market with the creative. Because we hear that all the time. Right now, the highly designed, over-designed piece is terrible, but the under-designed piece, the one that just has written copy, is the one that's working best. I will say this. I love those conversations because you'll listen to someone that's marketing in the Midwest, and it works really well for them to do a very branded piece.
Yes.
And then you talk to someone in Florida and they go, man, a branded piece, it stinks.
Yes.
It's horrible for me. I will say this, when you do have a branded piece and you are well known through television channels, which was the next one we can go to, it seems to me from the A/B split testing conversations I have that branded piece works much better when you have consistent branding on the television side.
It does. If you have a brand that's very noticeable within a market, you're prominent. When you then brand that mail piece behind it, these are additional touches toward that brand that already has a lot of goodwill within the community, right?
Right.
And so you want to take advantage of that. Now, what's interesting though, we did do an A/B test across a lot of operators. We run a direct mail service. We have 75 really high level operators across the nation. And we ran an A/B test. We looked at what's the performance difference between branded and unbranded on a check letter piece. And because there's a lot of back and forth, every market's a little bit different, but the overall aggregate, there was a 3% lift actually toward the unbranded in favor of the unbranded unqualified leads. With that said, there are some branded operators that actually did better with the branded piece too. So I think if you have the brand, yes. If you don't have a brand, you can go unbranded and actually do pretty well still, which is good news. It means there's a route for anybody.
Yeah.
However, if you invest a lot of money into that brand, that's going to be what your competitive moat is. That's another thing we talked a lot in the presentation about is how do I create this competitive moat where when I build a business today, and over the next year and over the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I have something that has staying power within my local market.
Yeah, the moat. I love it. Absolutely love it. From a marketing standpoint, especially because it's very hard to scale a business in this asset class of, without direct to seller. The other one that you guys do at a very high level with PPC Force is the PPC side. And I often hear people that are just on the cusp of this group, they're select.
Yeah.
Maybe they're a, $750,000 to $1.5 million business, and they're working with a couple of employees, and they're like, direct mail works really, really well for us, but we're now ready for that second layer of the stool. Sounds like networking just went awry. Hopefully everybody's okay out there. Just had a big crash of glasses of some sort. But it sounds like no one got hurt. That's just part of the networking that happens outside.
Yeah.
Apparently someone got upset with a conversation. But the PPC side is usually that next phase where, but I often hear, man, it's super competitive in my marketplace, which one isn't, right?
Yeah.
PPC, what's working right now?
You know, PPC, it's working in most all markets. There's a few markets where just the volume of searches are relatively low. If you're in a real, like a C-grade market, smaller size, it's going to be a little bit challenging. You can still get leads and deals, but to be a consistent performer, if you're trying to run a business with multiple deals per month, that might be where it's a little bit harder. Now, in the rest of the markets, it does work. And a big part of the adjustment to PPC versus a direct mail, for example, whenever people come to us and they say, hey, I'm doing really well in direct mail, PPC, I'm not having as much success. Oftentimes it's a sales process, believe it or not. It's not just a marketing thing. PPC, you have to remember, these are the very bottom of the funnel. Direct mail, you might catch people a little bit higher. You might catch people at the very bottom as well. But you catch a little bit more of that funnel of where people are at and their sellers are at in their decision-making process. PPC, oftentimes, the best leads are very high intent. Sell my house for cash. Sell my house fast, right? Sell my house as is. And these are really high intent terms. And when you have that, what it means is they're lower in that sales funnel. I mean, they're going to make a decision quickly. Their motivation has flipped from implicit, I'm thinking about moving, maybe somewhere else, to I'm moving to this house. I need to sell my house. I need to sell it fast, right? And so PPC has that very high intent. And so the key there with PPC is your speed to outreach needs to be impeccable, right? Additionally, you might be up against more competition because if they go to your first Google result, they might click the second one. Sure. They might click the third one, right? Most people just land that first page. And if you get a hold of them right away and you can elongate that first conversation, your odds of securing low competition goes way up. Sure. And so oftentimes PPC is a sales function. But in regard to the channel itself, what's working really well right now? I think it's a lot of stuff that has worked really well. And we have AI Max that's coming in. And so we're seeing some interesting results. AI Max, it's one of these things that's it's newer. We don't want it to run out of control. We had a good test out in the Midwest. Operators getting over 10x on a relatively small spend, brought in like 90K in assignment contracts within a 2.5 week period. Okay. So that's interesting. But the PPC side, it's if you are going to start to elongate your spend, like just getting a lot of negative keywords and stuff like that out of your will eliminate where this excess spend like Google will drive you toward you want to move away from.
Yeah. I often tell people that on the SEO side and the PPC side, specifically this conversation we're having from PPC, you don't have to spray and pray with that either.
No.
Like you can take the information that you have and look at, all right, is my main geo modifier, my main city, let's use San Diego for an example. That is a very competitive geo, right?
Very.
But you may buy in Carlsbad more deals than where you buy in maybe San Diego.
Certainly, especially
right?
on PPC, yeah.
So you can start in Carlsbad or Oceanside or some of these other, within the metro area, some of these other cities that you buy in. I don't know why people feel like they have to do this big spray.
Right.
Where you can say, you know what, I know it's competitive. I need to get my foot in because I know that's the best, most qualified lead that I need to make sure that I have speed to lead on. But I don't have to do this $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 campaign to start because you can get those geos down. And also the keywords, like you said, it's like almost like cleanup of data on direct mail.
Correct. It is. It is. Process of elimination, so that's not going to work.
Sure.
Right?
And you can always open it up as you continue to grow.
Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of business in, County of San Diego, not City of San Diego through PPC as well. And that does translate into other markets. Yeah, certainly.
How is the AI, you mentioned AI Max, what does that look like moving forward? What did you present from the stage yesterday specifically on technology and how it's today, how it's being used and what it looks like in 26?
Yeah. I think it's going to be more and more of a learning process. AI Max is, I think it's going to end up working fairly well, right? The jury's still out on it. There's people that are not big fans. We've seen some good results with it so far. We'll see. I'll comment back on that in a little bit.
Well, what is AI Max, just for those that don't know?
AI Max is Google's new way of being able to spend money using artificial intelligence, right? The real expert in it is Steve. Steve Ham's going to be the one that, he's been doing a lot of due diligence on it.
Okay. Steve Ham is with PPC Force, their company. So, yeah.
Yeah. Steve has a lot of really great insights on him. So Steve talked a little bit more in depth on that presentation. So if you're part of the community, what I would do is I'd watch that part of that presentation He goes into a little bit more depth on it.
Yeah.
And then if you catch him in the hallway, I bet you can,
Yeah.
those conversations like we talked about, you can go even deeper on it.
Well, you guys are always, and man, I've known Phil now for, goodness, 8 years. And I know that he's always wanting highest and best and newest, right? The newest trends to use highest and best to achieve highest results.
Yeah.
I don't know anything that he does. If it's running shoes, if it's restaurants, he's so freaking competitive. Like I was running half marathons. He's like, Leon, you've got to get these Altas or whatever the shoe was at the time. I just remember that conversation. I'm like, well, these are doing just fine for me. No, those are not the best for you.
Yeah.
So when I bring Eric or Phil on, it's always a treat because you always know what's next. So from a technology standpoint for 26, what are you guys looking at as operators?
You know, going back to that Google conversation, search traffic coming in, what I'm seeing is consumers are getting the AI overviews. I think we've all seen it, right? I think showing up on those AI overviews is becoming more and more important. We hear it, the buzzwords in the hallways, right? Sure. Like, hey, how do I show up on these things? And so I think an emphasis on SEO, but not just for traditional SEO purposes on PageRank, but really now for AI overview is becoming a thing. And so we're seeing more and more of importance of that. Negative reviews are getting surfaced very quickly. Certain sites with larger status within Google's eyes, things like Reddit, for example, I believe they acquired them a little ways back. These types of sites are playing a big role now on what's showing up, not just in your PageRank, but also in the AI overviews. And so cleaning up that image, if for some reason you have some challenges, like, look, we're real estate investors, things go wrong.
Sure.
Buying just a normal escrow. I mean, most escrows are, 30+% are falling apart to begin with. So we just take the brunt of it when you're a company because everyone thinks it's a done deal and things happen. So, if you do have some, negative reviews, you have a deal that blew up, you have a bad review, these things surface online, they're becoming more and more important that you got to clean up these images. And so what we're seeing on the AI overview is, number one, really protect your reputation online. Try hard to avoid these bad reviews. If that means you need to go back and make right by a customer, maybe you have to release that EMD that you otherwise didn't have to contractually. You might want to make that investment, right? Investing into your social pages, it's indexing social really well.
Love to hear that.
And so small things like going onto your Instagram or your LinkedIn page or what have you, these types of areas on social are now indexing back to the AI overviews and the PageRank, and I think at a higher clip. I don't have the data on that. I couldn't tell you for sure, but I'm seeing that happen. And so these are all things that I think could be considered as we move forward.
To Eric's point, I do think it's very important that businesses or people that are searching, you do see that you're a normal person and you do have some bad reviews. But I think what's important on those is that you're not always going to have 5-star reviews. It's just the reality, right? But it's important if you have a 1-star that you address it. And to your point, maybe you have to do something to make that right. But make sure that when you do make it right, that individual, you have an agreement with them that you can have a conversation or they will repost that, hey, this was taken care of. So at least if there's a 1-star or 2-star review, you've made it right and they've acknowledged that you as an operator have made it right. And I think that's what people want to see more than anything. Hey, you're human, but how did you handle that bad situation? I think that sometimes we get this person gave me a 1-star review. Let's try to solve it and make a positive out of that negative.
It's double down on that point. Even if you can't solve it, if you go back, because you have a chance to respond to a lot of these reviews on these sites. If you can go back and make a really concentrated effort, verbalize it, put it out. Hey, here's what happened. You're right. Admitting fault actually goes a long way. That level of humility will go a very, very long way. That next home seller comes in, someone says, oh, I got screwed because they didn't close on my house. I was trying to move across the country and then it fell apart. And you say, you know what, you're right. We did screw up. You're 100% right. We had a contract in place to do this and this. What had happened is during our due diligence, this is what we stumbled upon that we weren't previously privy to. This made it a tough decision where we could not move forward with this property. We screwed up. We genuinely apologize. If you'd like to figure out an extra solution or some type of solution, please talk to me. I'd be more than happy to help try to move this in the right direction. Doing that, and the next consumer comes in, sees that, they say, you know what? They're a real company. They have real problems, just like all of us, and they actually look like they're trying to solve something.
I'm glad you doubled down on that because it's so true, and making sure that you're actually typing that in the replies, and because people need to know that, hey, you're not perfect, but you're trying to make it right always as best that you can as a company. We are for-profit businesses. We have to make profit in order to stay in business and have reviews, but to address it is so crucial for your social presence.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of things going on. You're great operators, and you always want highest and best. And so you guys have created some highest and best companies here. Let's talk a little bit about them. You've got PPC Force, DM Force, and now...
TV Force.
TV Force.
Yeah.
Lots of force. The force is strong in these three. Tell us a little bit about these three companies and what you guys got going on. And if people want your help, whether it's direct mail TV or PPC, how do they find you?
Yeah. Great question. So I guess the origination story is important.
Okay.
We started off as operators, right? We run an operation out of Southern California. We do 600 plus deals a year. So we're an operator first. Everything that we have learned came from the pain points of being an operator.
Sure.
And what had happened was we got pretty good at these different channels, right? We're running this very scaled marketing engine, getting good results, and people had come to us. And it started with digital marketing PPC. PPC Force runs PPC advertising for operators. I think we've got 70 plus clients, a lot of them here in the CG community here across the nation. That's where it started. And what happened was, in 2021, we were doing really well at PPC, and direct mail was very impacted in our market. Like, I don't know if other operators are out there. It's like, I don't know if I can stand out in this competitive mailbox space, right? That was us. And we went on a mission to figure that out. And so we searched through all the different stuff that the industry was already doing, started making modifications, trying new things, and we started to figure it out. We started getting that traction, and that story was like, hey, could you do some direct mail for us as well? Like, I'd love to. So it didn't even start. We weren't trying to start a business.
Yeah.
It just kind of came organically. We brought in 5 operators here in CG that were, hey, please just help us. We want to get results. And that's what was the birth of DM Force. So now we manage about 1.6 million a month in direct mail spend for real estate investors. And now the third engine is TV. TV, what we realized on a gap is TV requires a lot of creative. It requires a lot of time and understanding of actual placement. Like, it's a whole industry within itself. And it's not a really well-known industry. So coming into different networks and buying correctly is very difficult. It's like a black box. No one really knows how that works too well. And so when you have both of these challenges, we realized that it's underserved. And so we built a state-of-the-art studio in our office. We invested quite a bit of money, so we can shoot TV.
Oh, great!
We can shoot TV commercials within our office, and we also can do it where either myself or other people can come in and help make those ads for other people if they don't want to actually be on television themselves. And we know it converts. And so we've been taking a lot of what our marketing spend has been on television. We've spent millions and millions of dollars. We've taken those insights and then bringing it to other operators. They can come in, film in our studio, and we'll help with the placements.
A lot going on there. The three-legged stool that we talk about when it comes to direct-to-seller that is at the highest level of real estate investing, and you cover all three of those now with direct mail, PPC, and television. Where should people look to find you if they are wanting to bring you on for direct mail, PPC, or NTV, or all three?
Sure, yeah. Direct mail, dmforce.com. PPC, ppcforce.com. And then TV Force, a little bit different, tvforce.ai. Okay. We just got that website up. Okay. There is a wait list on television. We're just bringing on a couple operators right now, getting them rolling.
Sure.
So there's gonna be a little bit of wait list for that service. But if you are interested, would love to at least start that conversation.
I encourage you to have a conversation with Eric and his team. I mean, there are operators, and then there are the next level. There's levels to this game, and these guys, 600 plus deals a year, and they have figured out the best way to make sure that they're delivering leads from direct mail, PPC, and now even television. I encourage you to reach out to Eric. I also encourage you to get in this room with guys like this. There have been times that you've done presentations that I think 10 minutes in, everyone was like, can we get the Cliff Notes version of that? Because what he just presented on is so next level. I need a 0 to 1 and he's at 100. This is a very smart guy. I encourage you to reach out to him on the marketing side, and he's always available to answer questions in this community. Thank you for joining me, my friend. Appreciate all that you did yesterday on the stage and this time you spent with us here today.
Thanks so much, Leon. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, again, if you want to be in the room with smart guys like Eric, the easiest way to do that is go to our website, explorecg.com. There you'll find all the information that you need if you're a full-time real estate investor to scale your business within the Collective Genius. That's going to do it for this live version of the CG podcast. We'll see you on the next one. Here's real soon. See you then.
Are you ready to scale your real estate business? Visit thecollectivegenius.com, where real estate investors come to scale. Subscribe to the Collective Genius podcast and hit the bell icon to be notified when our next episode releases. And thanks for listening.